Welcome to gentle and intentional yoga. Finding a comfortable place in your home with plenty of room. Find yourself on your belly today, lying down on your stomach. Let your legs be soft and relaxed. You can have your arms forward up towards your head or relaxing down by your sides, making a decision about what works best for you in this moment. Taking a cheek to the floor, perhaps, and letting the breath flow. Making sure you're really comfortable, so if the floor feels a little bit too firm, maybe you slide a few blankets underneath you. If you're cold, grab a sweater. You can always pause the video. And take your other cheek to the mat if you haven't done that yet, and notice how that feels, how different that may feel on you. And breathe into any discomfort we might be experiencing. As you inhale deeply, notice the resistance the floor is placing on your front body, on your belly, and your chest. And see if you can respond to this resistance by expanding and lifting your back body with breath. Taking big and beautiful breaths in and out. We'll stay here a little bit longer, settling in even more deeply into our bodies and into the present moment. Connecting here and now. Noticing what's going on in your body and your mind, and make decisions through the rest of class that are going to be helpful and beneficial for you. And tuning in to your inner wisdom to help guide you and make these decisions. We'll slowly wake ourselves up from being on our belly, taking our hands to the floor and then pressing ourselves back into child's pose. Bending the knees underneath you and rooting your tailbone down towards the feet. Resting your head on the floor or a pillow, or your hands stacked forearms. You can rest your arms forward ahead of you or take them towards the feet. And enjoy this wonderful pose, child's pose. You may feel a lengthening through the spine from the tailbone to the crown of your head. Notice a new freedom in the breath, with less resistance on our body from the floor. Maybe there's some more freedoms and we can fill the body up even more with breath as we continue to expand both the front body and the back body. Big breaths in and out. Let yourself be supported. Melt with your heart. And let the floor hold you up. We'll slowly wake ourselves up, taking our hands to the floor in front of us and lifting our chest nice and high to sit back on the heels, sitting on our shins, bent knees. Noticing a tall, lifted spine here as we reach the crown of our head towards the ceiling. Hero's pose, they call it deer asana. We'll loosen up through the neck here by rotating our head in big circles, one way first, nice and slow and gentle, and going the other way, the other direction. Continue to breathe, lift the heart nice and high. And then find a neutral chin, a neutral spine and neck somewhere in the middle. We'll pull ourselves forward onto our hands and tuck the toes underneath us. Lift your knees up off the floor and find yourself in a squat. Arms on the outsides of the knees, knees together at first, and then finding more comfortable feet if you need to. So if you have to come to your knees again, readjust the feet, and then sit back. That might be helpful for you, as it was for me. And then we'll take our arms inside the knees. So let the knees open up a little bit wider here and bring your shoulders in between the knees, upper arm bones in between the knees. Let the head hang nice and heavy here, as well as the arms. You may be feeling a nice stretch through the heels. To come out of this, we're going to lift our seat bone nice and high, coming into forward fold. Don't straighten the knees completely. Keep a slight bend. And let your head and arms be completely heavy over the legs. Maybe you rest the backs of your hands on the floor. Maybe you grab opposite elbows. Root through all four corners of the feet and relax the toes. From here, we're going to walk our hands forward and make our way into downward facing dog. Keep pressing down through the heels, lifting the belly high, and rest your head in downward facing dog. Pedal the feet a little bit and find your way into high plank pose, the top of a push-up. Nice and strong, you got this. Slowly lower all the way to the floor and come back to your belly, back to where we started. Trying something new with your arms perhaps. If they were towards the feet, take them up. If they were up, take them towards the feet now. See what feels right. We'll take one cheek and then the other. Taking some relaxing, renewing breaths, replenishing and refreshing. Taking your hands back to the floor, we'll press ourselves back onto those heels for child's pose. Tucking the knees underneath us and letting the torso be nice and heavy between the legs. You can do knees together here as well, or you can keep them nice and wide as I'm doing. Sometimes I do knees together and that feels really good on the low back. Up to you. Arms forward or back, up to you. relaxing through the base of the spine and the crown of the head to open up through our spinal column, the vertebrae, releasing pressure. And we'll slowly make our way forward onto the knees once again, hands and knees, and curl the toes underneath you. Lift those knees up once again, coming into that deep squat, taking your favorite version. I've got my knees wide and my upper arm bones and the shoulders slightly in between the legs. The head's heavy. Gently supporting and balancing myself with my hands. And then press tall into forward fold once again. Let the head and arms become increasingly heavy. Relax the toes. And keep a hairline bend in the knees. Very slight bend. Root through the heels. Relax the toes once again. Perhaps grabbing opposite elbows, if that feels good to you. And letting the breath flow. Take your hands to the floor and walk them all the way forward, keeping your feet where they are, coming into downward facing dog. Open the fingers wide. Press the heels towards the floor. Slightly lift the thighs and kneecaps up. And we'll walk back into high plank pose. Nice and strong. We're going to take the knees down first. Keep your booty up. Drop your chest and then your chin for this very awkward pose. Knees, chest, chin, but it's kind of awesome. The way the floor presses into your heart offers me a lot of breath and support. We don't often use our heart as the seat of a posture, so this is one of those few poses that we get to do that. When you've had your fill, come all the way to your belly. It can be very hard, especially the first time you try it. Keeping your hands where they are, we're going to press the floor away from us to lift the heart, lift the chin, and then walk those knees up, drop the seat bone down for child's pose again. This time I've decided to keep my knees together and take my hands towards my feet. Notice the difference this may feel. Notice how different this may feel, I should say. And maybe you like the other child's pose better, and go ahead and do knees wide, arms up maybe. Letting the breath flow always, never letting it stop. Making those decisions for yourself that your body needs. Rabbit pose next, another strange one. We're going to roll onto the back of our head as we slowly lift the hips up. It's very important you don't turn your chin or head or neck here. So if you need to look at the screen, I would come out of the pose and sit up to look. And we'll hold it for a brief moment before we come into child's pose. Sinking back into child's pose after trying that rather oddity, but it does feel good. We're going to set up for legs up the wall now. Take your time here. Fold some blankets and place them next to the wall. As you sit down on your blankets, you're going to lean back and kick your legs up the wall. Take your time to get comfortable, so readjust as you need to, and have a strap nearby you, perhaps a belt or a strung long t-shirt. Anything will really work. And when you're ready, we'll take that strap around the ball of the right foot, the ball of the big right toe, and we'll gently pull our leg towards us for a really big stretch to the back of the right leg. Hold and breathe for a few breaths. And then widen that right foot all the way open to the right. You may want to take the left leg to the left for balance. Hold onto that strap tightly. And then take your right foot all the way across the body towards the left. The left leg might want to come towards the right, taking a cross through those legs in a way. And hold for a really deep stretch to the outer right leg. Keep that right hip rooted as you do that. And then we'll switch legs. So taking the strap in the left foot and pulling that left leg back. Holding for a few breaths. Really big stretch. And widen the left leg open to the left. Hold tightly. Maybe the right leg opens slightly for balance. Now take your left leg towards the right. The right leg might move slightly past the midline towards the left. Notice that beautiful stretch through the outer left hip, keeping that left hip rooted in your blankets. Slowly come back to center and release. Take the strap in both feet now, pressing both feet into the strap and hanging on with your arms. We'll hang out with legs up the wall for a little bit longer here. Got a few more poses to go. Legs up the wall, it's called Vipriti Karani. Let go of any tension you might still be holding on to. Let those hips be supported by your blankets beneath you. And you can let go of the strap if it's done its job and you've had enough. Just placing it to the side and maybe resting your left hand on your heart, your right hand on your belly. We're going to take the right ankle and cross it over the left thigh now. Interlace the fingers behind the left leg and place the left foot on the floor if that's not too intense. You may want to keep your left leg straight here. And we're simply working to open up that right thigh bone towards the wall. You can use your right elbow if you would like, or your right hand. And we're probably feeling a big stretch to the outer right hip, the right glute. And you make that decision for yourself, whether that left leg is bent or straight. Stabilize yourself using your arms the best way you can. And then switch legs. We'll take the left ankle across the right thigh. Stabilizing ourselves with our arms. Fingers interlaced behind the right thigh maybe, and using the left elbow to press the left thigh bone open. The right leg is bent or straight. And hopefully you can rotate the left ankle so you're not crunching the left ankle at all, but it's nice and open. So you can test that by rotating that foot a little bit, seeing if it's available. If it's not available, perhaps straighten the right leg and readjust. You're kind of making a figure 4 with your legs. We'll stay a few more breaths. And then we'll straighten both legs back up the wall. Notice how you're feeling. Bring both hands to your belly for a moment. Enjoy the relaxing pose. Big breath in, big breath out. Maybe wiggle those toes a little bit. Then widen your feet all the way open as far as they'll go for reclining straddle pose. This pose is great for letting the density and weight of your legs gently open through the inner thighs and hips with minimal effort. Let the breath flow and relax here as much as you can. See if you can let the toes and knees roll towards the floor, rolling open. Work to connect with the present moment once again as you notice the breath. Making sure you're comfortable. Always finding ways to make yourself more comfortable in a pose. To come out, we'll place our feet on the floor and hug the knees into our chest to just squeeze out that deep stretch. Giving yourself a bit of a hug here. And then bringing the soles of the feet together, widen the knees, and using your hands, press your thigh bones away from you towards the wall. Reclining bound angle with our legs up the wall here. Enjoying the deep stretch through the hips in this pose and the effortlessness of this pose, though we are using our arms a little bit. We'll stay for a few more breaths. Okay, let's lengthen our legs straight up the wall one last time. Enjoy the support of the wall. Feel yourself cozying up into this little nook of the room, this corner of the room between the wall and the floor. And let your house hold you up. Let it do all the work if you can. See if you can give in through the upper body and the lower body equally. Let the breath flow naturally, peacefully, gracefully. Letting it do what it wants to do. Observing and witnessing what's going on in the body and the breath. And placing no judgment, just witnessing, accepting, thanking yourself for taking the time out of your day to do this, to engage in self-care, preventative care, being gentle and soft and loving with your body and your mind. Let it go. Whatever weight you're carrying, let it go. To come out of the pose, we'll roll onto the right side of our body, resting our head on our arm like a pillow. Your knees are tucked in. And very slowly, make your way to a seated posture on your blankets. You can lean up against the wall and notice a nice and lifted tall spine. Notice how you feel after practicing. Maybe there's a little bit more freedom in the body and the breath. Maybe there's a weightlessness, an effortlessness to this seated posture. And maybe we feel like we could stay here a little bit longer. Big breath in, big breath out. Let it flow and let go. And hold this peace with you for the rest of your day today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Namaste.